I got a job as a night security guard at a large warehouse complex. The work was monotonous, checking doors, recording cars, entering and leaving, monitoring cameras. The warehouse was large, the corridors were empty, the lighting was dim, and at times, it seemed like time was dragging on endlessly. During the first few hours, everything went as usual. I checked all the points, made sure the doors were closed, and put the kettle on for a break. Suddenly, I noticed that the image on one of the cameras had frozen, and when I switched it, the screen flickered. The thought of possible technical problems flashed through my mind. But after a couple of minutes, I heard a quiet sound, as if someone was moving around the warehouse. I went out to check, but the flashlight only illuminated empty aisles and boxes. I didn't see anyone, although the sound repeated itself. I returned to the console and decided to record the time and description of the situation in the log, but noticed that the camera footage had disappeared for several minutes. This caused alarm. The equipment shutdown could have been either accidental or intentional. I called my boss and told him that I had heard footsteps and noticed that the camera recordings were missing. He advised me to call the police if I felt threatened. An hour later, I heard a loud bang on the other side of the warehouse. I called the police, described the situation, and waited for them to arrive. While waiting, I walked around the premises again. Everything was in its place, and I found no signs of a break-in or theft. However, I still felt uneasy. The police arrived in about 20 minutes. The officers inspected the warehouse, checked the cameras and recordings. Special technicians determined that there had indeed been a system malfunction, but found no signs of a break-in. They explained that technical problems occur at such facilities and advised me to be more careful. However, no one could explain the strange noises I had heard. I recorded everything in the log and continued my work. The following nights, the situation repeated itself. The cameras periodically lost their recording, and I heard quiet footsteps that I couldn't explain. I called my boss again, but he said I needed to look at things soberly. Maybe I was tired and imagining things. However, one night I noticed that one of the doors was ajar, even though I was sure I had closed it at the beginning of my shift. I called the police again. This time they arrived faster and thoroughly checked the perimeter. They found no signs of a break-in, but the police advised me to install additional locks and an alarm system. They said that there had been no similar calls to this warehouse before, and that perhaps someone was just checking to see if there was any security. I started changing my patrol routes and recording all suspicious events. I realized that until the criminal was found, I wouldn't be able to work in peace. After a month, the strange occurrences ceased. Either the perpetrator became frightened or the equipment was repaired. The police never found the intruder, and I realized that sometimes inexplicable things happen at work, but it is essential to maintain a level head. I installed an alarm system and cameras with cloud recording. Now I feel more confident, although night shifts still leave me feeling tense. This experience taught me not to ignore even small details and to report suspicious situations in a timely manner. Working as a security guard is not always boring. Sometimes it requires attentiveness and composure. Now I understand that even the most ordinary places can hide danger, and you need to be prepared for any turn of events. I work as an administrator at a 24-hour coffee shop. Night shifts are usually quiet, a few regular customers and silence. One evening, a man dressed in simple clothes and looking tired came in. He ordered black coffee and sat down at a table by the window. He didn't talk or use his phone. He just sat silently and stared out the window. His behavior made me suspicious, but I tried not to pay attention. My colleagues also noticed that the man came almost every night. On the third day, I was told that a similar man had worked for us several years ago and had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. This news surprised me. The coincidence seemed strange. I began to record the days and times of his visits and watched him. Sometimes he looked confused, sometimes tense, but he never spoke to anyone directly. One night, the man disappeared, and the staff began to worry. A couple of days later, we received information that this man was officially listed as missing. I contacted the police and told them about my observations. Law enforcement officers came to the coffee shop, interviewed the staff, and asked for the surveillance camera footage. The police launched an investigation, but soon reported that no suspicious circumstances had been identified. Perhaps the man had simply left without warning. However, the fact of his frequent visits was recorded. We continued to work as usual, but a feeling of unease remained. The story was a reminder that there are real problems around us that have nothing to do with the supernatural. A few weeks later, the man reappeared. He approached me and quietly asked for help. He told me that he was experiencing difficulties and trying to get in touch with his relatives. His voice was tired, but his gaze was sincere. I offered to help him by contacting the police or support services. The man agreed, and I helped him call social services. It took several hours, but in the end, we arranged a meeting with his sister. The police also took an interest and began checking the facts to make sure he was okay. This situation showed that sometimes strange behavior is caused by real human problems. After that, the man stopped coming to the coffee shop. I hoped that everything would work out for him and he would find peace. This story reminded me that people find themselves in difficult situations, and sometimes you just need to show concern and offer help rather than judge. I continued working at the coffee shop, but now I pay more attention to customers, especially those who behave unusually. My coworkers also started sharing stories about customers who needed help. This changed my perspective on many things. Now I know that every face can have its own story. The police never identified the crime, and everything ended well, thanks to mutual assistance and attention. I was pleased to realize that even during a simple night shift, you can do something important. Those nights taught me to appreciate the little moments and to be prepared for the fact that work is not just about coffee and money, but also about the people around you.